part of what we do is also we run a political literacy course in schools, which is a 6-week course that teaches young people about introduction to British politics, dealing with how a bill becomes a law, separation of powers, local, national government, as well as international relations, so global north, global south. And finally, we do a lot around employability in politics, which teaches oracy skills. So public speaking, debating and presentation skills, which are heavily emphasized throughout the 6 weeks. And in that, the facilitator, i.e. us that go into the schools, are there strictly as facilitators or as the chair of the debate, but they end up debating against each other, and some may come out with some, ridiculous arguments, or some of the facts won't be correct, but that's not the point. It's about building up that confidence to say, yeah, you have an opinion, go out and voice it. It might be wrong. Yeah. You may change your mind because of that, but if you don't voice your opinion, you're still going to hold those beliefs.
Yeah, definitely.
But no one's going to be able to change them because they don't know you hold those beliefs.
Definitely.
It's like, for example, with when Brexit came out, there was this huge sort of uproar with all the racism that was coming out in the UK, especially around the Polish communities and people coming from Pakistan and India and all that. And a lot of people saw that as sort of a very negative thing from Brexit. I actually saw that as something positive and there is something positive in it, because although the actual racism and all that xenophobia is a negative thing, that already existed. It's not like it came out because of Brexit. Yeah. It was just that now people felt confident enough to say it. It was
amplified. That's what it really was.
Exactly. It was amplified and people were open enough to say it. But now that they've said it, we can actually tackle it.
Of course.
If it's not said, then there's no way of actually engaging it.
Exactly that. Because if it doesn't exist, if you don't know it exists, then it's very hard for us to do something about that.
You're obviously engaging young people politically, and I think you're speaking to the group that are engaged. And I'm not even going to say that young people aren't politically engaged. I think that they are, because voting is not the only way to be political. But I was just curious, if you could share, what are some of the reasons that young people should get more involved, and what are some of the ways that they can do that? And I'm not just talking about when they go and vote in the snap general election. So, in the build up to that, into the election, what are some of the things that you recommend young people go and do? How can they separate, fact from fiction? How can they build an informed opinion? What do you think some of the actions that they should take are, so that they can become more engaged, active citizens that are driving democracy rather than being led by, spurious claims in newspapers and things decisions. Like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just to tackle your first point, it's like, there's a lot of misconceptions around voting is the only way you can engage. I think young people are incredibly engaged in politics. I would say more so than people actually give them credit for. So, whenever we go into schools, for example, they do care about politics. They just don't see it as politics. So they will care about, say, human rights, green issues, police community relations, whatever it may be. It's a single issue. Yeah. They just don't see the connection between that and mainstream politics. And that is where I think that political literacy or lack of understanding comes in. Because you can campaign and engage as much as you want, but if you don't engage with the system eventually, nothing will ever change. So my answer to that, about what you can do, for example, obviously voting is one of them. But I would say read more than one news source. And the trouble with that is that it is very hard with the internet, where you've got 1,000,001 sources at your fingertips. Yeah. But just have a read of different sources. So if something, for example, when you read something in a newspaper and it automatically makes you angry, really frustrated, take a step back and look at it and say, well, why did it do that? Because more often than not, the headline or the image or whatever else.
So it's almost like the more emotional it makes you, the more you should be questioning that.